They say that only the good die young. But in the case of the dodo, I'd like to amend that to say, only the flightless die young. Hi, it's me, and this is my channel. If you like stories about weird, obscure historical events, stay tuned for more. So the dodo, an extinct flightless bird found only on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, is pretty much the poster child for extinction. Its sad tale is one of the most well-known and oft-cited examples of human activity causing the demise of an entire species. See, fossils tell us that the ancestors of the dodo, white-throated rails from South Africa, flew over to Mauritius and evolved into the flightless subspecies we know and love today after arriving. But it seems that shortly after, possibly due to a lack of predators, or maybe just they couldn't have defended themselves against any predator, well, enter the giant tortoise. And at first, this would seem to line up perfectly with the disappearance of the first dodo. But the problem is that the giant tortoise remained on the island until around 115,000 years ago, when it went extinct for the first time, only to reappear 12,000 years later, and that doesn't quite line up with the second dodo extinction. Fossils from giant tortoises have been found all over the island of Mauritius, and scientists believe that the giant tortoise is responsible for the dodo's extinction, or at least most of the dodo's extinction, because they don't seem to have eaten the dodo completely. Well, it's because unlike the dodo, the white-throated rail could fly. It's giving up on flying that does you in. And if you want to learn more about the strange history of the dodo, check out the resources in the description. So even though it evolved into the flightless dodo multiple times, it never fully committed. And that's why it's still around today, mocking us from its African home, where it lives free of dodos and giant tortoises. Because they were already pretty good at it, they took to the land so well that they completely gave up on ever flying back. And since the island of Mauritius is in the middle of the Indian Ocean, there were no other islands for them to fly to. Or maybe the dodo population had rebounded somewhat after the first extinction, and the second one just happened to be worse. Either way, the dodos went extinct again, along with the giant tortoises. It's only to evolve one more time and make it to around 1,500 years ago. So these birds essentially committed mass suicide. Well, it could be because of climate change, as it seems that the climate on Mauritius was changing from wet and tropical to drier and more desert-like. And that would certainly explain the extinction of not just the giant tortoise, but the dodo as well. But did you know that the dodo almost certainly didn't go extinct because of humans? And it's true that they didn't help. But they hunted the dodo and used it as food. And they brought rats and pigs with them, which almost certainly ate dodo eggs, and competed with the dodos for food. But the dodo was already gone by the time humans arrived, so it wasn't their fault. Because back in 1681, nearly 200 years before humans arrived on Mauritius, the dodo was already functionally extinct. And by committed, I mean literally.
Right.
The fossil record tells us that at one point between 136,000 and 115,000 years ago, every single individual on the island went extinct. So we can tell each extinction event produced a different-looking dodo. And each time the dodo went extinct, the island was repopulated by white-throated rails from South Africa, suggesting that whatever caused their extinction also killed off all the dodos. And then another population of white-throated rails flew over from South Africa, started evolving into dodos, but got extinct again 12,000 years later. And then a third and final invasion of white-throated rails evolved into dodos and made it to around 1,500 years ago, before going extinct yet again. And each time the white-throated rails flew over from South Africa, they brought with them new genes which changed the dodo's appearance slightly. But what? Dodos are big flightless birds with short stubby wings. See, the giant tortoise arrived on Mauritius around 136,000 years ago. So scientists came up with a few other ideas. Maybe the giant tortoise needed a boost in numbers to really make an impact on the dodo population? But why did the giant tortoise go extinct in the first place? Now, even though the dodo went extinct in 1500, the humans who showed up in the early 1600s are still usually blamed for its extinction. But now you might be thinking, wait a minute, if dodos kept going extinct, why didn't the white-throated rail from South Africa also go extinct? Oh, remember, it's not being flightless that makes you go extinct. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, stay tuned for more.